Okay, Carol, I'll get you too. All right, it's actually 8:31, so I want to get rolling. I love starting around on time. There's 24 of us online. Just a little housekeeping. I sent an email out last night. It has, most importantly, it has a link to the Rebound consultant team that I have been talking about. There's a solid list of consultants on that list. We've been a little fuzzy on how this actually works, so I want to clear that up a bit. We have a budget for if every one of the students used one consultant for 2 hours, they would get paid a stipend of $25 an hour, which is awesome. It's a win-win for everybody. You can talk with that consultant. You want to work with them for 5 more hours before they do any work. Make sure that you understand what their deliverables are and what they're going to be charging. So this Rebound group is providing a couple hours and a resource list. Besides that, the relationship is between you and the consultant, whether it's paid or unpaid, how they meet, how they perform, what they do. You know, this consultant came in and blew up my website at Sierra Commons fault. No, it's not. It's not. I mean, you have to take responsibility as any business owner should. We have relationships with these folks. They're people from our community. When it boils down to it, they heard about this program, they went online, they filled out a form, and we published that form. So I'm not trying to like scare you away and like don't use them because they're going to mess your site up. I personally would feel really good about working with these people, but we can't get into stick our nose into your business that far. So I just want to be really super clear on that. You will need help. There's a bunch of disciplines that can help you. Corey yesterday clearly has a technical mind about him. And he's like, email me. He provided you his email address. Do it. Email him. He's going to say, I can only talk for 5 minutes. And then a half hour later, you're still on the phone with the guy. You know, he's really amazing. So that's that. Also on our Rebound Igniter resources page, I added yesterday's PowerPoint presentation and PDF file. And I also added the 2 presentations that you're going to see today on marketing. I have not uploaded the video yet. So that's coming, but all that stuff is going to be on the Igniter resources page. Okay, I'm getting some weird messaging from Zoom. I hope everything's still cool. With that, I am going to invite Erin Thiem on stage. Erin is a friend of mine. She is the owner of Outside Inn and In-Town Campground, and is my favorite, I can say this with full confidence, my favorite blogger in all of Nevada County. She does such a good job, community-minded, resources, the time she puts into it is amazing. And the number of followers, how she shows up in search engines, the goodwill she's created in this community is immeasurable. And she's here to share some of that skill and talent and insight with you. So take it away, Erin.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate everyone showing up. I do have a lot of passion about the concept of visual storytelling, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and content creation. And I do deep in my heart believe in supporting our community. I do love that Robert thinks I am the most awesome local blogger, as I am currently taking a hiatus from that job role at the moment in COVID, as my businesses are both closed, and I've been tasked with a really important job of telling everyone to stay away. So it's sort of an odd window of my world, but I did find this exercise to be a really great opportunity to remind myself as to why I like all the things that I have done in the past. So let me just find my screen. Oh, well, see, this is the part where I'm like, Robert, where did it go in
Okay,
that?
so there's the green button at the bottom menu.
Green
Should
menu.
say share screen.
Let's go back to Zoom. Green. And then it doesn't show, oh, here we go. Perfect. All right, start, play from the start. Okay. So
Yes.
one of the things I wanted to talk about today, once again, as I said, was visual storytelling. So thank you all for providing me with this opportunity. And as Robert said, I do own the Outside Inn and the In-Town Campground, which are a motel and a campground here in Nevada City. One of the things that I feel like has made me more enthusiastic about my businesses is that I do have a really strong visual eye. And I have used social media over the years to help share that enthusiasm and excitement about our community through photos, through stories, through content, videos, all of those things that I think are important for everyone to sort of to capture, and unintended, and then to help their customers understand who they are and what they bring to this community. The things that are really interesting about how to tell a story during a pandemic and how does COVID affect our stories, because as I said, my businesses are currently both closed. So here I am tasked with how do I tell our customers all the things that we provide and all the resources that we have while not being able to provide any of those services. So obviously this course is on e-commerce, but I think that putting it into the bigger scale and understanding the context of our climate at the moment is really important. And one of the ways that I think that's important to be able to do that for your customers is to help explain to them or communicate or share how being a little bit of vulnerable and authentic. Because I think if you just go out into the marketing world and be like, buy my product, without the context of, hey, I'm a small business and support my family, support my business, support my community, you're really missing an opportunity to help connect with some of your customers. One of the things that's really served me well over the years is to have a mission statement. And the Outside In's blog, which as Robert mentioned, I've been doing for almost a decade, has a mission statement. And over the thousands of posts that I have written over the last 9.5 years, every single time I've gone back to what is the mission statement. And so as a business, I think it's really important to take stock of, okay, what is the point of my marketing? And maybe if you can write a broad mission statement on how you want to present that, if you ever have a moment of like, now what do I do? If you go back to the mission statement and help be like, okay, is this help serving my overall goal? That'll help you define your purpose and making sure that you're consistent and on brand. And then another question that I've been struggling with is how do you continue to engage your audience? So I took this photo of downtown Nevada City earlier on in the shutdowns, and I really felt like the stop sign, or the stop on the ground, was a good representation of like, how do you go from running 1,000,000 miles an hour to like a grounding, screeching halt? And to me, that represented multiple aspects of what I was going through and what the business was going through. So a few tips that I have learned along the way, that, as I mentioned, the mission statement, regular engagement, and I can definitely acknowledge and recognize that some of you probably are new-ish to this platform of social media or website or online engagement. One of the things that I can't stress enough is regular engagement. And one of those things I talk about in terms of like social media is actually social. So if you create an online persona or a representation of your business, you need to make sure that you are scheduling time to check in with your customers, answer their questions, respond, share, things that they're going to be asking. So I can't stress that enough. If you're going to put it out online, make sure that you check back in on it. Strong visuals. I'm going to give you a couple of examples in this presentation, things that really capture me and my love of what we do and what we represent. Consistent schedule. The fact that I told you I was taking a hiatus is probably the biggest example of how I have broken my golden rule. But one of the things that I think has been key to the success of our blog and the social media is that I show up consistently every week, every day, every month. And I think that the customers come to see that as a consistent voice of authority, because I don't drop out. I'm still engaging. I just am not sure how to engage when you have to be closed. Knowing your audience, developing your voice and being authentic to you. I think as a business owner, obviously what you're doing is something that you're passionate about, or else you wouldn't be in business for yourself. So really listen to that. I think one of the things that I found in this exercise is knowing the why. Why did I build a campground? Why do I own a motel? Why have I given so much time and energy to our community, years and years and years and years of effort? And so if I can answer that question to myself, then I feel like I can be true, even when it's difficult. So serving your audience with providing value to them. Obviously, if you have a retail item that is an actual product, that's an easy one to show your customers as to why it is of service. But thinking about also, like, you know, Heather on here from the chiropractic, like there are things that are services, not actual products, that are high value to customers. So just reminding them what you provide and how they need that or should have that, or thinking about those sorts of things. And then one of the things I really like about blogging in the past has been that it's a great opportunity to answer the questions of your customers, but it's also an awesome platform to answer the questions your audience should be asking but isn't. So maybe they want to know where to go out to eat, but maybe they don't know that there's a food festival on this day and it's an opportunity to share something like that with them. So I feel like sometimes it's great to just sort of take the actual questions they're asking and then flip them, or come up with content to answer the questions that you think they should know, but they hadn't actually gotten around to asking. Robert said he wanted to know more about the process of building our campground. And this is just a few examples.
Aaron, before you move on, there is a question from someone about, you had mentioned engagement and regular engagement. So what is too much? The student is doing a 100-day, posting a design 100 every, once a day. Like, what's too much?
I don't think that there's one answer for anyone, because I feel like if you have a busy business and showing up every day is going to tip you over the edge, then set a goal of once a month. If you have a business where you can chime in once a week, that's great. If you have a business that is such that you can't do any of those, then schedule it in advance. Come up with a plan, strategize, and come up with a schedule that will work for you. So there's not an answer as to how much is too much, but whatever you do, just stick to it.
Yeah, I'd like to just add a little to that, is that sometimes people that don't really plan and they're like, oh, I'm going to do social media. I haven't done social media in a while. And they're like, post, and then they make another post, and then they make another post and post. It's like 3 in a row and then nothing. So you kind of end up stepping on your own feet. So if you could schedule that, break that up a little bit, there's like, you could schedule your posts.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I probably, depending on the platform, like the Outside Ins blog, as I said, is usually weekly. If I post on the Facebook page, I probably am like every other day. If I post on Instagram, maybe it's 2 to 3 times a week. I'm also, and I have a slide in this presentation on Pinterest. I'm actually a pretty big Pinterest user, and that metric is 10 pins a day. So it depends on the platform, depends on what you're doing and what you want. But whatever you pick, my recommendation is do the same thing the week after or the month after. So anyways, let's look at some pretty pictures, because I feel like pretty pictures are always fun. So this is an example of the importance of strong visuals. For those of you who don't know the backstory, my husband Dan and I built the in-town campground. And this picture is from a photo shoot that we set up before we even got the permit to build it. And so what we did is we staged the entire campground and what we envisioned and actually eventually built. And then we invited the Planning Commission from Nevada City over to come have a look at it in real life, and hired a professional photographer to come document it, which I then used for my media content for all those magazine publications and news articles that wrote about us before we opened. So it was a way to bring the project to life on a fairly large size scale. And now I look at these photos and I go, oh, we dreamed it, we built it, we opened it, coronavirus closed it. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the things that I thought would be helpful for people to see is in terms of like how you share your story with other people. So this is a photo of myself and my family, and it was one of those where we needed some lifestyle photos. And we were trying to find the right models, and it was becoming complicated. And so we just decided we'd put ourselves in the photo, which is actually a pretty true representation, even though this is a completely staged photo. But we wanted people to know who we were and the values that we stood for and what we were trying to bring to our community. The other thing that I thought really worked in our business agenda was that we really showed the process of it. And I think that even if you are doing a retail shop, like, the customers want to see behind the curtain. So if you show them something that looks like, this is actually a glamping platform, but it doesn't look very exciting, they get excited when it gets to the next stage. This is some more examples of some of the behind the scenes. So the picture on the left is my husband putting in an RV pedestal. The one on the right is putting in the dirt digging. But all of this, while it doesn't look pretty, it certainly helped build the story about what we were doing while we were doing it. And then this photo, to me, just represents something. It was taken the first week that we opened. We hadn't had any of the glamping tents powered prior to opening day. Well, we actually had some, but not all of them. And so this was really that magical feeling of like, oh my God, A, we did it. B, there's people. You can see someone sitting on the deck enjoying it. And it really just brings home that concept of like, this is something I want to be a part of and experience and enjoy. And so I feel like if you can find photos that have those sorts of feelings for whatever it is that you're providing or selling, that you should put that higher on your list. Because for me, I look at this photo and it brings me joy. And I think that it brings the customers a great reminder of what it is that we are doing or have been doing or want to do or all of those other things. So it's good to create those sorts of things. I pulled out from my excessively large catalog of photos, 5 photos that would help you visualize some of the spirit of what we've done. And just to give you kind of a few examples of things maybe a little outside the box. So this is a photo of a girlfriend's daughter in a mermaid costume in our swimming pool. And it's taken from a drone, so it's looking down. So I've got a sense of imagination, I've got free spirit, I've got the actual aspect of we have a pool, currently not open, but we have a pool, and sort of that playfulness, because of course a campground has a mermaid in the pool. I don't know. This is just an example of being silly and how it works for us. This is a photo Robert likes to talk about. This was his Airstream. We converted it into an office before we built the campground. But what I love about this photo is that it's just showing that spirit of fall and fun and festiveness. And once again, it's totally staged. As you can see me in the background hanging up a garland of decorations. Like, no one's actually camping in this setup, but it doesn't matter because we all look at it and go, oh, I want to sit by that fire, have a beverage, and hang out here. So I think that sometimes it's important to think of it just maybe outside of the box a little bit. Like, you don't have to actually show a product photo for you to sell what it is you want to sell. This photo is of me inside the tent looking out at one of the campsites. And another great example of just change up your perspective. Like, just because I want to show camping, I don't have to actually show it from the outside. I could show it from the inside. So, and then looking down and out and at the trees and that sort of concept of hanging out by the campfire and relaxing. So there's lots of different ways to sell the same idea. This photo is another one of that concept of feeling. So I look at this photo and that's me roasting marshmallows. And I know that actually this was a 5-minute interval between work obligations, but it gives the customers that concept of like hanging out, camping, connecting with people, eating marshmallows, which I don't actually like to eat. So there's different ways to help share some of the things that your company or business or experience represent. And I think sometimes it's important to just sort of think of it in a new way or capture what you want and get some help capturing that. And then this is another one of me in the Airstream. Once again, this is an office, but I really thought that this was a fun way to show me just being silly. I was doing a photo shoot for solar lanterns and my girlfriend took this photo and I'm just laughing because we're just, I don't know, being silly. And I think that our customers really appreciate that and that we're real and authentic and we show up and we show some of our silliness on maybe not a daily basis, but it's mixed in with our marketing messages. This photo is of another one of a drone looking down one of our RV sites. And what I wanted to include in this one is that one of the things that's really special about the campground are the trees, because we have 2,000 trees. It used to be BLM land. How we have such an amazing forest in city limits is still something I marvel at on a daily basis. But I wanted to give the scale of things. And so I felt like if I could show the RV sites amongst the campground in the trees, that people would sort of have a better idea of understanding of what we have and what are some of the unique features of our campground. And then this one is it's just fall. It just looks like relaxation. I don't know. I look at these and be like, oh, let's just all go on a vacation, even if it's in our backyard. And then this one is of the campground in snow. Obviously, if you're all locals, you understand that we don't get snow in Nevada City very often. But to me, it just has that magical feel, and the trees and the tracks in the snow around the corner. So I hope that these photos can help you visualize some of the ways to help sell and share your story that aren't necessarily direct product shots. They're sort of helping to combine what we have, our spirit, some of the unique features, obviously the things that our community brings, and sort of that fun. I don't know, that's the good way. I wanted to show, and since we are more talking about e-commerce, a couple of examples of one of a local retailer in Grass Valley, the Olive Grove. And these photos were taken with a branding photo shoot with Linka Land Photography. So these are not my photos, but just sort of a great way of how you can take photos or have someone else take photos of your merchandise in your shop to help give it more life, just sort of put it to use in some ways. So here are just a couple of examples. I really like the diversity of product, storefront, and then application of the olive oil and a cheese platter. So I feel like sometimes we need to think of things in a slightly different way. And this is a great example of how, if you had a retail shop, you could sort of diversify your visuals to help your customers understand what it is that you offer, and also to kind of bring them to life, add a little more, I don't know, just fun to them. Because this is sort of more about social media, I wanted to just give a couple of case study examples before I pass the baton on of things that we have done or I have done. This is a particular photo shoot about that said Airstream, and I wanted to give an example of what do I do, how do I write about my campground when I'm closed and I don't know when I get to open. And so I went through our archives, and if you read the caption, it talks about how I included a link to the photo shoot we did of the Airstream office. That photo shoot was 6 years ago. So it's completely evergreen, timeless content. So I feel like if you are gonna have a chapter in your future, hopefully we don't experience this forever, but it's probably worthwhile to have a little bit of content up your sleeve that you can pull out and still show what you offer and what you represent and the spirit of your business, even if it's 6 years old and still relevant for today. One of the things I wanted to touch base on is Instagram and that concept, once again, of engaging with your audience. This is just a shot of the campground's Instagram feed, but I gave a couple of examples of, once again, how do I engage my audience? I don't know when I'm going to be open. Life is currently a little difficult. So the photo on the left is, the caption says, visualizing myself camping. I figured that was a good caption for this situation. The one in the middle is Dan working on a repair project from when we built the campground, and I talked about how he was a fix-it guy and he's always coming up with creative solutions. So once again, staying true to our message, even though I really can't answer all of the questions customers call me on a daily basis. And then the other one on the right, it was on Earth Day, and I talked about, and I actually feel like the caption really resonates with me in terms of where we're at and our marketing struggles and the business. And I said, I think it's truly torturous to tell you how beautiful everything is. The dogwoods are blooming, the tulips are providing a burst of color, the birds are singing, and it's very quiet. Being forced to be closed is difficult, but today, after taking a few laps around the campground, I remembered again why we put so much energy and love and money into building it. We are looking forward to the day when we can welcome back our campers. While I wish I had the answers to the questions I'm being asked on a daily basis, just know that we love camp and built it with the intention to share it with people. So I feel like this is so hard, and yet I can still show up. I can still be authentic. I can still be vulnerable with my customers. And some of them are nice, not all of them, but that's how I'm choosing to show up in this situation. Pinterest, just a really bit of a teaser. I don't know if any of the people on this are Pinterest users, but it has been a really awesome resource for me. Once again, as Robert mentioned, I've had a local blog and been a super active content creator for the last decade. And so I share on Pinterest. And what's important to think about that, if this is a social media outlet you want to use, is it's a search engine. So it's not like someone is going to go and see what you're talking about today. They're going to go searching for something. And then I've got a few more examples. And hopefully I will show up. People find pins on Pinterest from years ago and go to our website. So this is just an example of some of the ways that I have visually represented our business, specifically the campground, and helping to share it with people in creative social media ways. Once again, it kind of just goes on autopilot. A lot of times I put a bunch of work into it and then I schedule it out. So. And then this is just a fun photo of myself and my children that was taken as part of Roseanne Bath, who's a local photographer, is doing a series of motherhood behind glass. And I thought it kind of was a great way to sort of show up in the sense of like, here I am at a motel that is closed. It's a family run business. I posted it on Mother's Day. I don't know the answers, but I'm still here and I'm still smiling, even though some of this is as difficult as can be. So I've got on here my email address and the websites to both of our businesses, but I feel like if any of you have any specific questions, I will go through the chat box when I'm not on the slideshow. But Robert, are there any ones in there particular that you think I should address before I pass the baton on?
No, well, we do have some time, and for me, I have questions and I have comments. So you're not going to get off that easy. We're going to dig a little deeper if that's okay. First, I'm going to just editorialize a little bit and say, in the consultant list, there's a couple photographers. You may work with them and do product photography. I know Allison Colt, who is a member of this class, and also took the last Business Igniter course for her photography business, has signed up to donate some time. But what Aaron said about kind of building up an archive and some evergreen photos, that might be another angle that you want to take, where you don't want to keep on reusing day after day after day. And actually, I'm kind of guilty of that. Sometimes I reuse a little photo too much. But it now might be a good opportunity to get some professional photos taken of your storefront. There was that picture of the Olive Groove with 3 photos. Mm-hmm. And the center one was like the nice storefront. I'm like, well, what could you do with that? Well, you could take a picture of you planting plants in the planter box, just getting the store ready for beautifying the store, welcoming you. Like, each one of those pictures, I could think of 3 or 4 different posts you could do about that. So, the UPS guy delivering your new shipment, or, the dog that comes in, or there's all these things that you could take pictures of. You just have to get creative about it. And that's what Aaron really did a great job of telling you about. And this is just an aside. They convert the Airstream, which I owned for 10 years. It went to like Burning Man 10 times, and I finally like, okay, pass it on. Like a week later, it's in Forbes magazine, or maybe a month later. How did she do that? How did she do that? It's incredible.
That's not true. It took 6 months for my husband.
Okay, 6 months. 6 months. Forbes magazine. Okay, so we got a question there about the hashtags. Do you see that, Aaron, or should I read it out loud?
Why don't you read it? Oh,
how do you get hashtags? How do you get hashtags that bring more views and followers? Mine don't seem to be growing my page viewers at all.
So my answer on hashtags is to come up with a unique hashtag for your business. So that way, if anyone else is creating content for yours, that you have it well noted. If we're talking about Instagram, then you're putting it into your bio at the top to help show that. And then also thinking about, like, what is your business? Are there hashtags that are locally relevant, or they're industry relevant? So I think that there's opportunities to do specific for your business and then broader for either the community or the services that you provide. And then I do like that this response here on the app was smart hash for testing the popularity. So yeah, so I would say that, and now if we're talking Instagram, you can go back and edit things. So if for some reason you pick a hashtag and then later on it gets picked up by something that is completely off brand of your business, you can go remove it. So it's not, I don't feel like if you pick something, you have to stick with it. You can adjust and adapt as time goes on.
Yeah.
Okay,
So Adam might have something to add to that. I'm going to throw something in, is that think about your customer. What would they be looking for to find your product? Sometimes I see hashtags like hashtag beautiful day outside. No one is searching beautiful day outside to buy your toaster. They're just not. You know, they're going to search toaster oven, hashtag toaster oven, to find your toaster oven. So, you know, really put your mind in what your customer is looking for and use that hashtag, and then hopefully you'll be found for that.
Yeah.
And I think just to add really, oh, sorry, Aaron, I was just going to say, to add really quickly, it is a really smart idea to look at and add on to what's already working in social media, what's already popular, and what can you use to add to.
And that, by the way, is Adam, who is presenting very shortly. So let's keep the, Aaron, can you explain what hashtags are?
Hashtags are a way to search for content within a social media platform. So if you're on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram and you do, so for instance, and I didn't include this in this presentation, but I run the Visit Nevada City Instagram feed. And so anytime anyone does the hashtag Visit Nevada City, they become a collection. I think that like 15,000 images since I started that account 4 years ago. And so if someone was looking for representation and visualization of Nevada City, that's a great way to find it all in one search. And that way it's what do you call it? When anyone in the public forum can add it, crowdsourced content. So yeah.
I'll add a little bit to that. So I worked for Airstream. I did marketing for Airstream. That's why I had an Airstream. I'm totally into Airstream. I was an Airstreamer. So I did their newsletter. And Airstream didn't always have a lot of current photos, but their fans were posting like crazy. So if I went into Twitter or Instagram wasn't even around then, but you know, go into a platform, Facebook, and I typed in hashtag Airstream, then all of these pictures would show up, all of these posts. Anyone that tagged their post with Airstream came up, and I would see wonderful photos. You could also be doing this for market research too, if you want to see what your competitors are doing or what else is happening in your market space. You want to keep current on that. You would search hashtag hairbrush, and then you'd see what all the hairbrush sellers are doing. But in my case, I was creating content and sending it out, and people that like Airstreams they don't like it, they love it. And so being in the position I was in, I would say, oh my God, there is a great photo. I want to use that in my newsletter. Then I would contact that person and say, hi, I'm Robert from Airstream. Can I use you in the newsletter that's going out to 65,000 people? And they were like, oh my gosh, yes. They'd be stoked. I'd get free content. I would also credit them, and if they had a business or something, I'd link to them to share the love. And it was good all around. So you can use that to not only meet new people, build your audience, maybe get content by permission only, and do market research. So if there's pertinent hashtags for your business, you should be following them. It doesn't have to be your existing friend relationship. It could be anyone who posts using that hashtag. And just a side note, there's a tendency to a lot of businesses getting on social media. You go to Google, I own a flower shop. and it's, you know, Easter, and I want to find a picture of Easter lilies. Type in Easter lilies, go to image. Oh, I like that one. Save it, use it. Please don't do that. That is stealing. That is copyright infringement. There are ways to find free images or images that are used for available for reuse if you credit them. There's an etiquette or netiquette way of doing it. I posted a link that I'm teaching a social media toolbox class next week for the SBDC. I can go into that a little deeper, but that's that. I think we might have some more questions or comments.
Robert, I do appreciate that PSA and the content. And I think if those of you in this class are new to the marketing and really just unsure, then my recommendation is to get someone to take your own photos and to start with the rights. And that way you don't have to get a fabulous email from someone like me educating you on stealing copyrighted material. So I think that that's an excellent way to set yourself up for success, is to just to know that you've got that content and it's yours to use for your business's purposes. And if you don't have that confidence, don't necessarily believe the kid who says, "Oh yeah, that's all good." So work with a photographer or work with someone that you know and you've got the permission, and you don't have to add that headache to your list.
Yeah. There's something about Canva, or there are like free image websites which are fantastic. You are also, there's this balance between being authentic, building trust, and then you hear, oh, images sell and you need to have great images, and I don't want to post lousy images, so I'll just use this stock image. But then the counter side of that is, you can see a stock image. You know a stock image when you see it. You know, the old business guys shaking hands. It's like, like that's been used so many times. Aaron, so let's say I'm one of these students. I know how to use my iPhone for photos, but I don't judge myself as a great photographer. People have a tendency to say I'm not good at that, so they don't do it. But here they are up against a wall. I've committed to launching their store. They know they need photos. They know marketing is the only, like, they get their store built. They got to get people to their store. It's with images. It's with social media marketing. How do they start? You know, how do they start?
Oh, I think, and if I just use myself as an example, I mean, mind you, I've liked to take photos for a long time, but if you go back to the archives of the Outside In's blog from the beginning, like, they're not very good. You know, I'm okay with admitting that now. So I would say that instead of overanalyzing, I would start. And then another great tool that I've found over the years is that if I find something that resonates with me, which is part of the reason I showed some of those photos that are things that really just sort of excite me on a different level, if you can find those in maybe not necessarily in your industry, but something that you can sort of pick out and be like, oh, I like the way that makes me feel, then hopefully you can help to use that to help create the content, or just be okay with hiring someone else. I mean, I think about my freshman high school age student son, who I got him to create GoPro videos for me. So there are resources out there. They might not look like your traditional means, but I would say if you don't feel confident on trying and maybe not necessarily succeeding, then to outsource it while you give yourself the opportunity to practice.
Well, I'm going to unmute Allison. Allison, sorry to pick on you, but if you're willing, could you share with the class? She's a professional photographer. She does real estate photography and also product photography. Any insight you'd like to share?
Sorry, I'm cutting out for a bit just before that. Could you repeat?
Yeah, no. Just any general advice to your fellow students. I explained that you do product photography, real estate photography, lifestyle photography. If you're a store owner that, you know, you don't consider yourself a great iPhone photographer, what are some basic steps they can do to start taking some compelling social media photos?
So when it comes to product images specifically, If you wanted to get a clean shot, perhaps of the packaging, a great thing to do is set up a piece of paper just to get that clean background. That's a great way to just do it real quick with your phone. There's some great apps like Snapseed and Photoshop Express that are free, great editing apps. Yeah, also just taking like lifestyle shots are great to set up, like can maybe get some people to volunteer using your product. Yeah, makes for good content.
So products in use, not just sitting on a shelf, might be more compelling.
Yeah, I think the products in use is much more compelling to see than just the product itself. And if it is just the product itself, then getting a clean background that'll contrast with the packaging or whatever the product is. And also in a well-lit room, perhaps next to a window with natural light. You want to get as much light as possible.
And what's the best, so you want the light, like multiple light sources, or what's the best situation if you have, and if you don't have a lighting kit?
If you have a big bright window, that can work just fine. Or even doing it outside perhaps. Also a desk lamp can work really great. Definitely done that before.
Okay. And does it matter if it's fluorescent, incandescent, LED, any of that stuff? Is there a preferred light?
I don't think so. I think it depends. I mean, if it's casting a weird color, then maybe you might want to find another light source. That's just something to look out for. If it's orange or blue.
Yeah, excellent. Well, as I mentioned before, Allison is on our consultant list and she's willing to help with photos. I can't remember, Aaron, what you volunteered for, but clearly she knows how to take photos. So it's a big thing. So good photos. And also, I'll say another thing is that when you post on social media, you do not want to cut off some people's heads. Look and preview what it looks like on social media. And if you use the same photo on different platforms, it may look different. So once you post it, don't run away. Look at it, and you might have to edit it and crop it, your photo, for the different platforms. So we have time for a couple more questions to Aaron, and if not, we can move on to Adam and keep this marketing train rolling. Okay, Aaron, you got anything to add?
No, I think that keeping in mind that if you don't have the answers, it's probably worthwhile to ask and know that you're not in this alone, that there are a lot of local small businesses that are also trying to figure this out at the same time. And there's really no dumb questions. I feel like if you're starting at step one, just try and know that with time and experience, you'll get better at it and figure out what works for you and what resonates with you and your audience. I did get a question from Linda about the frequency that I use the platform. Linda, I feel like you, knowing me, I'm like not the person one should compare themselves to, because I work in a different league, and I'm okay with admitting that what comes natural to me, I recognize might be something that takes somebody else like an hour to do. And because I have these skill sets and I have been using them and flexing these muscles for a decade, I can do it in a fraction of the time as somebody else. So the answer to your question is for the Facebook page. In the land of normal, I generally post maybe 3 to 4 times a week. And Instagram, depending on which platform, it's sometimes between like 4 and 5 times a week. And Pinterest, I use, once again, the particular algorithm for that is at least 10 pins a day. I'm not always successful, but I do try that. And then for the 2 businesses, I have either a weekly or monthly blog, of which I currently am not upholding that end of the bargain due to the challenges that I'm currently experiencing. So there's no right answer. Pick one that works for you. And if you can show up when you say you show up, great. And if it doesn't work, just adjust.
So Heather has a question.
Yeah, I have a, so of all the different platforms like, Facebook Live, Instagram, blogs, all of that, are you finding that there's like just starting in a better place to start, because I guess the younger people don't use Facebook anymore, but I get frustrated with Instagram because what I want to share is more content and education and links to things. And then as far as videos, I mean, some people have said, well, people don't read anymore, so you need to do videos. You know, do you have just idea of kind of what is getting kind of the most attention moving forward?
I think it depends on what you're doing. So like for you, obviously, if you want to create the content, I think it goes back to what's your purpose. Like if yours is a retail shop and you want someone to physically step into the doors, which again, in this climate is not necessarily what you want, or if you want them to go to your website online, that you should just keep directing them back to your website. And then that way the content lives on there. And so if you just use the social media as a tool to do a signpost, that's probably a good way to think about it. And then it just, depending on the different platforms, like I think that my example of Pinterest, like the things that I pinned 5 years ago get me content. So it doesn't necessarily have today's results. And that's one advantage to making sure that all of your content live on your website, because then it'll help build the audience. And then you can use your website to be like, book online, buy these supplements, come make an appointment, or, you know, support our fill in the blank, whatever. So I would use each tool as a different way to get back to your website. And then just sort of see what you get engagement from. For our business, the campground, I would say that Instagram has been the largest driver of actual real life customers. But it would depend on each business, because you can't click online and buy something for my business. So.
I'm going to share a quick hack, a content marketing hack. Is that if you think about what do I want to communicate? Aaron was talking about the story. What is your story? You could break your story down into 3 or 4 things, like I'll just say, you know, quality, price, utility, it's green, whatever these things are that you want to break, you know, your story down into, and it shouldn't be price, by the way, it's more. but anyways, like it makes you feel this good, or whatever these main themes are that you want to kind of pound into your customer's head. Then on Monday, you do a post on quality. On Wednesday, you do a post on how green everything is. And on, you know, Thursday, you do a post on this. So every week, you are hitting up your 3 themes. And then at the beginning of the month, if you want to use a schedule like Hootsuite or something like that, so Hootsuite, I put it in the chat, you could say, all right, this month I need to post 4 posts on every Monday on quality. On Wednesday, I need 4 posts on the green aspect of my business. And then you're having variety. You're thinking about it in one time, and then you're scheduling it out, and your time is then reserved for interacting and building community, as opposed to, oh my God, what am I going to post today? Where are my photos? What am I going to hashtag? What am I, blah, 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 blah. So that's a lot to throw at you in a little bit, but I do teach classes on this, and they will be available as you move forward. So there's a lot of great resources, a lot of kudos to you, Aaron. And let's move on to Adam. So Adam, go ahead and unmute yourself. Excellent. So a brief introduction to Adam. He is a local. He does marketing, content marketing. His presentation and link to his website is on the resources page. And what I really like about Adam is that we did a call out to the community, and he just kind of fell into our laps. And the amount of enthusiasm is really refreshing, Adam. I really appreciate it. And he is here to tell you a little bit more on marketing, but maybe from a slightly more technical angle. So take it away, Adam.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate you having me here. This whole presentation, this whole everything just kind of came in a flash of inspiration that I realized, like, there's a lot of people in this town that could benefit from the skills that I have and that I use every day. And so this is something that I really want to share as something that you can use yourself. And if it's too much to use yourself, then I can help you find someone who can help with this and the different aspects like Aaron talked about. But first, I'm looking at the clock. I don't know about you guys, but we've been sitting down for about an hour. Why don't we just do a little stretch, a little something, a little stand up, a little back and forth, you know, oh, to the side, one side, oh, to the other. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Woo! This is good stuff. No, really. And Aaron, also thank you so much for your presentation. I have been a fan of your companies since, you know, I was telling Aaron before, when my mom came to town to stay, she stayed at the Outside Inn and had a great experience. And so I've just sort of been admiring you from afar and appreciate knowing more of the in-depth story. So before I really get into the presentation itself, I just want to say something that's kind of been on my mind recently very strongly. You know, I've lived in this town just about 5 years now. You know, I always am finding new reasons to love it, new reasons to just appreciate what we have here in Nevada City and Grass Valley. And how I see this right now, this time period that we're in, because I don't think any of us have ever lived through anything like this ever. And like Erin is saying, she's getting questions every single day, and that is because there's so much uncertainty right now, just everywhere in the world, but especially where we live, because we're right here. There's a lot of uncertainty about our businesses, about you know, another outbreak. Just uncertainty can characterize what we're in right now. But the way I see it, you know, it was very hard in the beginning. I went through a period where it just kind of felt very dark, and I felt like, you know, a victim of circumstance. But how I've come around to it now is that we are truly looking at an incredible opportunity right now. Because what does uncertainty mean? It just means that things are not set, things are not fixed. And so what does that mean? It means that we actually have an opportunity, more so than ever, to create the reality that we want. And so I just love, I'm looking down here, how many participants, there are 34 participants in this class, and there are going to be many others that watch the recording of this. So first of all, if you're here live, this is amazing. I love that I'm speaking to you, you're listening to me, this is great. But what I want us to think about is ourselves as a collective, right? So if any of you have been in like a serious relationship before, you know, or a marriage, you realize that at a certain point you go from an individual to a we, to a collective. So the husband and wife together become a unit of consciousness. So I want us to think as a town about ourselves as a collective, because I see so much enthusiasm, I see so much creativity, I see so much passion for this local community. And I think that if we take that passion and put it into our own individual businesses, we can do some good things. But if we take all that we have in ourselves and share it with each other, with our neighbors, with our other businesses that are in this community, there's no limit to what this town can be and what it can do. And the key thing is that we are consciously shaping what we want this town to be. We don't want this town to be another San Francisco. I know that. It's not going to be, it shouldn't be. I hope it never is. We have a San Francisco already. It's a few hours down the road. What we want this town to be is the best Nevada City, Grass Valley that we can possibly make it. Even out to Auburn and the small communities, Penn Valley, all these little places around the area. But I just want us to think, as I'm going through this presentation, as you're going through the other classes, as you're thinking about reopening, I want us to really have a clear vision. Like Erin said, going back to her, talking about how she had a mission statement. And when we're in this period of what can we do, we go back to our mission statement. So it doesn't need to necessarily be something written. If you have just a clear visual in your mind, you can keep going back to that as well. But writing it down sometimes does help a lot with keeping it clear in your mind and having something that you can always go back to. Also to piggyback on something else Erin said, was just, she's found her success through her enthusiasm for her subject. And I think I wanted to emphasize that, because really a lot of the things I'm going to talk about in terms of content marketing, in terms of just marketing in general, think about where your enthusiasm for your business lies. Why does it excite you? Why did you get into it in the first place? Why are you sitting here at 9:30 in the morning listening to a presentation about how to make your business better? What is it that you really care about in your business? And so go deep into your own enthusiasm for your business, because that is sort of a wellspring that everything else can come out of, right? Whatever content you create, whatever the customers that you speak to, the stories that you tell, if they come from a place of enthusiasm, it's going to be a success, truly, one way or another. It could be sooner, it could be later, but that is something that I think is really important to tap into. Also, yeah, we're going to get into content. Okay, I just took a lot of notes. I just wanted to make sure there's nothing else I want to say. So why don't I get started with this presentation? Oh, before I do, actually, I want to be able to speak to really everyone here a little more specifically. So if everyone could please just take a moment, go into your chat box and type in what your business does. I noticed Erin was talking to a couple people personally, Robert as well. I don't actually know any of you. I don't think, unfortunately, I'd love to get to know you, but I want to know what everyone is doing, what your business are. Do we have more service-based businesses here? Do we have more physical stores here? Let's just share that real quick so I can get kind of a feel for who everyone is. Gift shop, perfect. Resale clothing, yes. Chiropractor, vitamin sales, retail clothing. Bamboo home store, I love your store, Caitlin. It's such a cool store. Mill and Main, yes. Retail store, retail shop, great, great, great. Retail stores, chocolate candy. Oh my gosh, the chocolate shop is here. I love you guys so much. Yarn shop, Foothill Mercantile sells herbs and herbal, artists making products. Sunchild's Parlor, Home and Decor, Osborne Woods Gallery at the Miners Foundry. Business coaching and consulting, great. Writing a children's book series, very cool, Christy. Liquid gold, juicery, crystal and jewelry retail, perfect. Yes, okay, thank you. I have that in my mind. Is great. I was hoping a lot of your types of businesses would show up, because truly all these businesses were the ones I had in mind when I was putting this together. So this is like confirmation. This is awesome. Okay, so let me real quick share my screen. Okay. And I will present. Here we go. Okay, so I've called this one Digital Marketing Made Simple because digital marketing is my specialty. I'll get to my introduction in a second, but I know that the period that we're going into right now is one where we're focusing much more on our online connection rather than our in-person connection. And that can be intimidating for some people who haven't really worked in the online space very much before. So I'm hoping to really make this simple. I want to re-emphasize there are absolutely no stupid questions, as basic as you get. I'm trying to start at the basic level and work from there. So I hope I speak to your questions. But if you want to interject at any time, type it in the chat box. I can't read the chat box while my presentation is up. I don't quite know how Erin did that, but oh, you know what?
I got you covered.
Okay. So Robert's going to interject, and he's going to talk to all that. So, presentation rundown. These are my main points, and I want to introduce Olga very quickly. This is Olga, everyone. She really wanted to be here with me because she was actually afraid you guys wouldn't really be paying attention, and she said that if she just looks at you with that disapproving face and points at things, that you'll pay more attention. I said fine. I didn't want to argue with her, so here she is. This is Olga. So I'm going to introduce myself, then give an overview of marketing in general. I'm going to talk about digital marketing, more specifics, and the basics that go along with that. I'm going to talk about social media marketing more specifically, and then pivot to Google and SEO, which is search engine optimization. I'm going to talk about analytics, which applies to all of that in your marketing. And then I'm going to speak a little bit about email marketing, and then kind of bring it all together at the end. So who am I? My name is Adam Trowbridge. I'm an entrepreneur, a digital marketing specialist, and Facebook ads specialist. I used to own a preschool in downtown Nevada City. It's still in operation, called Iron and Pine Preschool, a fine establishment there. I've lived in Nevada City here 5 years, but I've lived in California over 20 years, and I can't ever see myself leaving. The farthest I would go is probably Portland, Oregon. I lived there for a year and a half. It was amazing. But I am a husband and father of 2 little boys, 4.5, and my little one just turned 2. And my business is called Trowbridge Marketing, but right now that's just me. I am Trowbridge Marketing. I like being a solopreneur for now, and maybe one day I'll have some employees and we'll grow it out. But so let's start with marketing. What is marketing? Why does it matter to you? Well, if you are a business right now that is operating at anything but 100% capacity with a waiting list that's as far out as you can make it, then you probably need marketing help. Marketing is really just your business's message to the world, right? What do you have to share? What do you have to say? What do you have to offer people, right? So let's think of marketing something like a big company like Nike, right? They're marketing a lifestyle, a brand. They're everywhere, and you buy into that lifestyle when you buy their shoes, and that's what it is. But for small local businesses like we have here, marketing is much more about who are we? People love supporting small local businesses, and they love knowing about those businesses and who they are supporting. So I think that's been part of Erin's success. I love that Erin went first, by the way, because she's such a great example of so many things I have to talk about. Erin is a great example of someone who told their story. She had all those behind the scenes pictures, all those stories of what they're doing. She's very open to sharing how it is they do it, but at the same time showing the best aspects of her motel and of her outside campground, right? So that's what I want you to think about in terms of telling your story. It could be your personal story as a business owner, your employee's story, or really just the story of your products, the story of your services, how you interact with customers, who your customers are, why you like them, and why they keep coming back to you. Really, it matters because this is the face you show the world. This is what people see when they turn your direction online. So that could be on Facebook, Instagram, your website, or an article in some publication. Now, what does marketing cost? It's a really good question, and I can't answer it for you. But what I will say is that I'd like you to think about marketing much more as an investment rather than a cost, right? So you are investing in a professional photographer to make professional photos, and now you have these professional photos and you can use them. It wasn't necessarily a cost, but you are making an investment that these photos will do better than any other photos. You spent a little money on it and it's worth it. Now with marketing, what you're investing in is a better way to tell your story than you've been able to tell it so far. So I'll skip to the last question. Can I do it myself? Absolutely. But you need to think about, as the business owner, you've delegated things already. You probably didn't build the inside of your store all by yourself. If you're let's say a pizza restaurant, or let's talk about the secondhand clothing stores. You didn't build the clothing racks, you bought them. You invested in some clothing racks. You didn't build the carpet, you didn't make carpet, you bought the carpet itself. So there's already things that you're spending money on, and there's already things you're spending time on. So as I go through this presentation, I want you to think about, can I invest my time in this, or can I invest my money in this? And when we invest money, what we're wanting is a return. So here's an example for marketing. Let's think about, how many new customers does your business need to get $10,000 more? Let's say it's the average customer spends $100 at your business, right? We're just using simple numbers. Now, to get $10,000, you need 100 customers spending on average $100, right? Now, let's say you talk to a marketing professional and they tell you, well, let's see, to get 100 customers in your door, I'm guessing we would need to spend about $2,000. So now, did you spend that $2,000 on the marketing, or did you gain $8,000 because of what the marketing gave you? Right? So this is how I want you to think about it. $0 in marketing means you're losing $8,000 because you didn't spend that $2,000 to get $10,000, right? So it's opportunity cost is the one thing I want you to think about. Now, can it work for me? I can say unequivocally, without even knowing what business you are in specifically, yes. Why didn't it work the last time you tried it? Because we haven't found your customers yet, okay? So any questions, type them in the chat box so far. Robert can interrupt me, but I'm gonna move on and we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. Now, digital marketing. How is digital marketing different from traditional marketing? Well, it's not really. It's really just the tools that you have. Digital marketing gives you an advanced toolbox. So traditional marketing, you can think about it like a hammer and a chisel, right? But did I say traditional? Yeah, traditional marketing is more basic, like a hammer and a chisel. Digital marketing, you're working with power screwdrivers, you're working with a Sawzall, you're working with all these advanced tools that have many different uses and can find your customers in ways that traditional marketing simply cannot. Add that to the fact that we are, as a society, more on the internet than ever. Forget about it. If you're not using digital marketing, that you are missing a tremendous opportunity. And in one way or another, it needs to be some part of what your business is doing. I know for a lot of you, it already is, but what I'm hoping to inspire is ways that you can think about increasing that more and better in the digital sphere. Now, what is the difference in cost? Honestly, digital marketing is much cheaper to reach 1,000 people. Now, what happens when you reach those 1,000 people is entirely up to the quality of the message itself, right? So if you have a billboard, you know, you can't click on a billboard. You can't interact with a billboard. You can't buy a product from a billboard. You can call a number that's listed there, but you still have to pick up the phone, dial the number, talk to a person, all these things, right? Whereas on digital marketing, you can make it so someone finds your business, likes your business, is interested in your product, and buys a product from you all within the span of 5 minutes. Walking around and seeing a billboard, they can't touch that. So how do you know which tool to use between email, social marketing, video, search engine optimization, mobile, all these things? That's up to you. It's really a question of where is your audience, how, you know, who is on this platform, what are they looking at? Whoops, I skipped, but that must mean that it's time to move. So let's talk about the basics. The very most basic thing you should be listed on is Google. Just be on the list. Put your business down, put your hours, put a nice picture. That's it. It'll take you 5 or 10 minutes. If you haven't done it already, that's the most basic thing you can do to be found. Because, for example, when I had my preschool, I listed us on Google, and within a month or two, people were searching preschool Nevada City, and they just found me. Because all I did was put myself on that Google list. I claimed my business and people searched and they found me, right? So Olga's wondering, are people still paying attention? Robert, is everyone still with me here?
I think so.
Okay.
I was just going through my head about the importance of the Google listing.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you could dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, totally. So there's essentially 2 ways that people, I kind of think of it like there's 2 ways people will buy things, right? They either know they want to buy something and they look for it until they find it, or something pops up that they never knew existed and they're like, wow, I want that. A good example in my own life, I recently bought a snowboard. I am an avid snowboarder. I absolutely love it. We had a season pass to Donner Ski Ranch last year. I taught my whole family. It's the greatest thing in the world as far as I'm concerned. And I searched and searched and searched for the best snowboard. Then one day, after I bought my snowboard, I saw a Facebook ad pop up out of the blue, and it had on it a product that I had never seen in my life, but immediately I thought, oh my gosh, I have to get that. It's a skateboard that rides like a snowboard. I won't go into the details of it, but for someone like me, that is the greatest thing I have ever seen. So that's why when I talk about the basics, I'm covering those 2 ways that people find services and products. Google is so important because it's easy to be on Google. Sometimes in certain cases, it's actually very inexpensive to pay for more traffic to your Google listing. So sometimes, let's say you're, let's say you're a massage shop, right? And there's like 10 other massage places in town. When you Google yourself, you don't actually show up on the first page, and you're like, bummer, most people don't go past the first page of Google, right? So if those other 10 places don't really care about ranking on Google and you do, then there's not going to be much competition for those Google keywords. You can go to Google, pay them a little bit of money, and move your ranking up on that list. Then for the future, you've bumped it up. It doesn't really drop back down just on its own usually. You've paid for that traffic. You're there on Google. You're ranking higher. Now people will find you through what we call organic searches. That just means you haven't paid for it. They just found you organically, right? So that's why Google is so important to be on the list and be right there. Now, I'm sure you've been looking at this picture for a while. You've been looking at my silly drawings, BFF. What does that mean? Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram, you probably already know, are social media platforms where people share pictures and stories and all kinds of things, and businesses as well. Aaron showed you how to make a very successful Facebook and Instagram campaign. I hope you're taking notes, because that was a lot of good stuff in there. The reason they're best friends is because Facebook bought Instagram. So they are now basically two parts of the same company, which means you can make an Instagram post and have it post to Facebook as well with the same picture, the same words at the same time of day. And the reason that's a good idea is because there aren't many people that are frequently on both platforms. Usually people skew one more towards the other. So Instagram is, I think, a little bit younger. I heard someone say earlier that young people aren't on Facebook anymore. I don't think that's entirely true. I think that it doesn't skew as young as something like Instagram or maybe TikTok is kind of blowing up with the youngsters these days. But you know, these are still very powerful social media tools. And the reason that I'm bringing them up is because right now, as we speak, these are the most popular. When that changes, we as marketers will change with it. So, oh, okay. I guess Olga didn't think you guys were paying enough attention. So here she is to look at you disapprovingly. So, oh, she says it's because there's a lot of words on this page. Well, I'll help you with the words. Okay. So what is social media marketing? Today, there are so many social media platforms, but only a few of them are being used by the large majority of people. The rest of them kind of have a niche audience, and you could tap into them, but I wouldn't unless you're already aware of your customer base being on it. So Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube are really the big three for marketing, right? Facebook is good for marketing because people are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and you can get a lot of things in front of them. And price per 1,000 views is very low. Instagram is a great platform that differs from Facebook because it's so much more visual. Facebook, people will stop and read articles and read a lot of words. Instagram, you're really working with these big pictures. You can have a lot of words on Instagram too, but it just really emphasizes the visual. And then YouTube, of course, the moving visual platform. If you want to target people in a local area with YouTube, you can do that. So you can say, YouTube, I want you to target anyone in Nevada City and Grass Valley who is watching a video right now, right? And then you can put a video on there of you saying, hi, my name is, sorry, I forget who runs the chocolate shop, but I run the chocolate shop in Nevada City. Look at all these cool things we have. We have ice cream, we have jelly beans, we have gifts for your family. Come on down, check us out. We'd love to hang out with you and eat some chocolate, right? That I think would be super attractive. So YouTube is, if you want to do video content, the place to advertise it. Now, different platforms, like I said, attract different users. Some are older, some are younger. I don't know if there's any platforms, but I'm sure there are, that attract more men and some that attract more women, right? So this gives the business the ability to reach customers where they are. They're already online. They're already looking at Facebook. They're already looking at Instagram and Twitter and these places. You then can get in front of them where they are for a relatively inexpensive amount of money when you compare it to other marketing channels. Now, this allows, like I said, customers can engage with you right away. You can't click a billboard. You can't click a an ad on TV even, even if you get on the television, which, what is that anymore? We're all watching Netflix and that doesn't have commercials. But I really strongly believe if you walk away from my presentation with only one thing in your mind, it's that social media marketing should be an integral part of your marketing campaign. Now, where you do that on social media, how you do it, how often, that's up to you. But even if it's only a small percentage of your budget, have that in your mind that it's a necessary thing, and just be looking at your interactions, be looking at who's responding to you, how often, and what do they resonate with the most. Because you can think you have a good idea of your customer base, but it's always good to be refining that and really thinking about who are your customers more deeply.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, can I just interrupt for a sec?
Please.
We really haven't spent that much time, or if any, on defining who your customer is.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the brick and mortars, especially if you're on Mill or Broad Street, you're like, okay, well, I know who comes in February, it's this crowd, and I know who comes in March, it's this crowd, and you
Yes.
kind of get an idea.
Yep.
Online, it's a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be a different audience.
Yes.
So if you were to think about who your ideal client is, it may be, maybe you have made some sales online, or you're making a guess on who your ideal customer is. And really think about, I'm going to just mute you, or Adam, could you just mute yourself? I'm getting a little feedback. Figure out who that ideal client is or customer is, and they're, put a face on them, put an age on them, they drive a BMW, they have 2 kids, they are this old, they went to college, they didn't go to college, make it that person. And then you can say, all right, is that person on Instagram, or are they on Facebook, or are they on Twitter, or where are they? And then choose that platform first. It's not necessarily like your personal preference on what you like. If you're trying to sell to them and they're not, if you love Facebook and they're not on Facebook, well, you're wasting your time on Facebook. You should be on Instagram or Pinterest or something else. So it's a lot of guesswork and it's a lot of experimentation, but you got to start somewhere. And the best place to start is, who do you think is going to buy your products online, and where do they hang out? So
yes, I hope you all were paying close attention to that, because that is such a good point. What Robert is talking about, I refer to as building an avatar. So you're building essentially your ideal customer. It could be one person, it could be 2 people. I know sometimes these local businesses will get a certain type of customer that will come in locally all the time. And then you'll get a certain type of tourist that comes from the Bay Area, comes from even like San Diego, even Asia, other countries. And you have a certain type of tourist that you attract. So you can have more than one avatar. But essentially what you're trying to do is hone in on as many details as possible of who your ideal and most common customer is, because then when you're thinking of what to say, when you're thinking of what to present, when you're thinking of, sales you could do or new products to get in the store, you have them in the back of your mind and they're kind of speaking to you. It's like a friend, oh, I have Johnny, my avatar over here, and he loves my business. He's crazy about it. He tells all his friends about it. He shares about it. He's one of my biggest cheerleaders. It's free marketing. Johnny is amazing, right? How do I attract more Johnnies into my business? So this is really, really good point, Robert. And I thank you so much for bringing that up, because I didn't really have too much of that in my presentation. But as we move along here and you think about different marketing channels, because I want you guys to really be honing in on your own businesses, for these, because creativity is going to play a big role in this, and marketing, a lot of it is about creativity. But one of the big principles of marketing, and this is true if you're new in marketing or a seasoned veteran, TAFO, test and find out. This is something that all marketers do. Some of them have a better hunch, so they don't need much testing. Some of them, you need a lot of testing because we're working in a new thing. And I think right now, in this post-COVID reality, we're going to need a lot of testing because we don't know how many tourists are going to show up. You know, who are they going to be? Are these going to be different tourists than showed up before? Because the ones that were showing up before felt very comfortable, and now they're very scared and hiding in their houses because they don't want to get the virus. And the tourists we're going to get are the ones who are, you know, defying the orders and all this. So these are just things to think about. And we don't really know for sure until we test and find out. So what I'm hoping you guys can do is get an avatar in your head for now, what you think of as your ideal customer now, and then be open to the idea that that can be tweaked a little bit. You know, I thought, you know, Johnny, my avatar, would like this thing, but then I put this other thing online and I noticed that my customers responded to it really well. So maybe I should tweak that avatar a little bit. So have that in your mind and kind of always be testing, always be curious just about what will resonate with my ideal customers. So I see some questions, but I'm just gonna keep going here. And yeah, and we'll get to those towards the end. I'm seeing that I'm making pretty good time. So Google AdWords and SEO. So AdWords, all that really means is that's Google's name for their advertising platform. So AdWords is give us money and we will put you higher on our website, is what Google is saying. So it's really best for specific types of businesses. Not everyone can run a great AdWords campaign and have it be cost effective, but high margin. You know, if you're selling like $500,000 products or services, Google AdWords is going to be great for you. High lifetime value, LTV stands for lifetime value. That's one way to think about your customers. So let's say you're a restaurant. Restaurants are the perfect, or a thrift store. Each time people come into a restaurant or a thrift store, they're only spending what, 10, 20, 30, maybe $50 at most. But over time, they will keep coming back to you. I don't know if you guys know Pampered Earth or Main Street Kids, but I frequent those two stores so often because they always have new stuff and they're really, really nice. They're owned by two very nice women. I hope they're watching this at some point. I admire your business if you are. But my lifetime value is probably going to be in the hundreds, maybe even the thousands, because I have two kids, you know, so over 5 or 10 years, you know, I'm going to be spending a lot of money at these places. But each time it's only a little bit, you know, I'm only buying a shirt here and a pair of boots there, but I keep coming back because thrift stores have new stuff. And of course, restaurants, you know, you're getting hungry 3-4 times a day. So of course, you're going to keep coming back to your favorite restaurants. So when you think about attracting, you know, clients, spending $1,000 on something like a thrift store or a restaurant in terms of marketing may seem like, oh my gosh, I just spent $1,000 this month in a new business. I only got like $300. But what you're really thinking about is how often are those customers going to be coming back and back and back to you, right? And especially if you're marketing locally, you know, you're building a local fan base is really what you're doing. And these fans will not only come to you over and over, they will tell all their friends about how much they enjoy coming to you over and over and bring more people. So it's like a magnet. You know, if you're working with an electromagnet, the amount of magnetism that electromagnet has is entirely dependent on how much electricity is running through it. So however much energy you're putting into this marketing aspect of your business is how much magnetism your business is going to have. The other one that is good for is event-based or seasonal. I know our town has some of those, you know, so let's say, for example, whoever runs the Victorian Christmas, she was actually a parent at my preschool, Heather, she would do well to market on Google AdWords once or twice a year, right? And probably in the Bay Area and places that are like far but not too far, talk about how amazing Victorian Christmas is. Talk about how much fun people have, all these local vendors that you're supporting. You know, even though they're not local to San Francisco, people who live in the Bay Area are going to feel really good about supporting local businesses here and just having a grand old time. You guys have all been to Victorian Christmas. It's magical. So this is the type of thing that SEO is good for. And also those businesses that you don't need it till you need it, right? If I saw a Facebook ad pop up for like, fix your broken pipe, well, gee, Facebook, I don't have a broken pipe. Why are you sending me this? But then when I have a broken pipe, oh my God, my pipe is broken. What do I do? What do I do? I'm going to Google search it. I'm going to find the first one that looks good. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go there, right? So that's how you should think of AdWords. It may work for your business, it may not, but this is just an introduction to what it is, how it works, and who is it best for. And PPC, you might see that online a lot. It's a common abbreviation, just means pay per click. So like I said before with the massage example, if you have 10 massage shops in town, and they're all on Google AdWords, that's a lot of competition. The price per click is going to be very high. If none of them are using Google AdWords, and you're just paying for that local click and those local searches, you're actually going to do really well, and it might be very cost effective. So keep in mind, there's no one price for Google AdWords. It could be expensive, it could be very cheap, depends entirely on what you're doing. Now, SEO, like I said, that stands for search.
Hey, Adam, I'll just kind of interject for a second, if
Please,
that's okay.
please.
Yeah, and just to let you know, your slides are down. I don't know if you did that intentionally or not. That's fine to have your slides down.
I didn't share my screen again. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you for a second. So Google Ads, Google AdWords. Essentially, you go there, you put your credit card down, and you say, let's say you are selling flowers, and you might want to buy an ad that says, when someone searches flowers, Grass Valley. There's a flower shop or two in Grass Valley, and they might also be advertising for that. And then there's FTD and other businesses that are also advertising on flower. So you might pay $1 per click, or you may pay, a certain amount of money per click. And so, like I said yesterday, it's really good to set a marketing budget, and you might say, okay, I'm going to dabble in online advertising, and I'm going to put this much to Google AdWords. I'm going to put this much to Facebook, and then you experiment with it and see what works. A side benefit of playing around with Google Ad and AdWords. Number one is when you sign up with it, you put your credit card down, you don't spend any money. Google will start sending you like $100 free ads, $100, because they want to get you in the habit of being an advertiser. So there is some benefits to signing up with that. That's one benefit. Another benefit is when you start playing with the tools of what should I advertise? What are the keywords that I want to advertise with? You will see how much activity Flowers Grass Valley gets. So you're like, oh, this is hot. People are searching for flowers in Grass Valley. I need to investigate that. But if there's 0 searches on whatever you're thinking about, yeah, it's going to be less expensive to advertise using those words. But also Google will tell you no one is searching for that. So it informs your business decisions on what your keywords should be, how you should search engine optimize your website, and how you should spend your advertising money. You can set a limit. I'm going to spend $10 on this ad for 3 days and see how it goes. $20. And you're not making a big mistake. You're making a small mistake. You're going with your intuition. I'm going to pick these AdWords, and you just look at the data and see how it performs. And then you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to advertise. I'm going to build a campaign around this. Now I'm putting $200 into this. And so experimentation and data.
I would argue actually that that wouldn't be a mistake at all, even if it fails. That would just be a learning opportunity, because then that marketing avenue isn't the best for you, and now you spent $30 to learn that, rather than banging your head against the wall feeling like it will work and you're spending hundreds, so these small amounts are great to test things and see what kind of response you get. And Robert, I loved your example of the flower shop, because that's another one that can be event-based or seasonal. You know, if you know that Mother's Day is coming up, Valentine's Day is coming up, maybe you just save your marketing budget for those times, then blitz your marketing and get people coming in the door. And then they'll think of you next time they want flowers for a random reason, you know, an anniversary or something.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Before I sign off, before I mute myself, I have not posted the chat text file. I will do that, and I can retroactively do that for the previous presentations. And yes, you can look at the search the keywords before buying them. Some people sign up for AdWords with no intention to advertise on Google at all, but it's an excellent tool for coming up with your keywords to search engine optimize. So with
yes.
that, you should go full screen with your slide, and I'm going to mute myself.
Thank you. And yeah, that's a really good point. You can actually pay for just a couple keywords, you know, if people are looking really specifically. And then there's also what's called long tail keywords. So if you have something that almost, so this is now I'm speaking to the people that have like an e-com website. Let's say you sell empty 1 ounce perfume bottles, right? That's not something you see in like Target. That's not something you see in any store, but it's something that when you want it, right? So if you pay for that long tail keyword, which is really random and not many people are searching for it, that's actually going to be very inexpensive, but then people will know when they want those 1 ounce perfume bottles, they're going to come to you. You know, it might be a small business who's going to keep buying them over and over and over. So if you have a unique item, Google AdWords is actually a really great thing to look into, to advertise those things that can't really be found in many other places. So now I'm going to pivot to search engine optimization. And this is something that most people don't actually have to worry about. When I was a preschool owner, I did not worry at all about search engine optimization because in our town, and I already knew this before I started the business, but there are not enough preschools for how many children there are, truly. There aren't enough quality preschools. You know, childcare is hard to come by in this town, quality childcare. And that was really what we set out to create. And we knew, my business partner and I knew that if we built a quality preschool, just like Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. Now, if I were doing this in the Bay Area, I might have had a tougher time marketing because there are a lot of quality preschools in the Bay Area. There's a lot of quality childcare. You know, and just to cut through the noise, because there's so many choices for parents, to cut through the noise and really tell parents who I am would have required a larger effort. So I think we're at an advantage living in a small town to get your message out to a lot of people. So if your website is a sales page, you know, if someone comes onto your website and it's all about, look at this cool product, look at this cool service, wouldn't you like this thing? And you're trying to sell people with your website, you kind of want search engine optimization. You want to invest in that. Someone who can do things on the back end. You know, I'm speaking a little bit out of my league right now. I need everyone to know that. If you asked me to do search engine optimization, I would send you to a good friend of mine, but it's not something that I am super versed in, but I know enough. And I know that there can be tweaks done to a website so that when someone searches for something similar to what your website has, you will rank higher on those search engines the more work you put into optimizing your SEO, right? So it's used by services where there's a lot of competition, like a lot of massage places in town. They might want to rank highly because when I want a massage, I'm probably going to Google it. Massage in Nevada City, right? And I'm probably not going to go past the first page because the first page is full of choices. So if you're not ranking high on search engines for certain businesses, you need to invest in that a little bit. And then once optimized, traffic is higher and you can sort of set it and forget it, right? You're ranking high on these things. You know, unless your other massage place down the street is competing, or at least 4 or 5 are competing on a high level in SEO, if you're one of the only ones doing this, you're going to go to the top and stay at the top, right? So just something to think about for certain businesses. I know it doesn't apply to a lot of them, but something to think about. Now, analytics. This goes back to the adage I said, TAFO, test and find out But what is the FO? How do you find out? How do you know for sure that you just didn't have a lucky day and your marketing efforts are paying off, and that's why you had twice as much traffic in your business, in your store, you know? So analytics are something that it's really, like this first point says, the key that unlocks the social media ads, right? Social media ads wouldn't actually be that great because if they didn't have these analytics, is what I'm trying to say. So when you put an ad, let's say on Facebook, which is what I know the most about, you can look at how many people that ad was shown to, how many of those people clicked on the ad, how many of the people that clicked on the ad clicked on the offer, how many people that clicked on the offer actually entered their information, and you can even tell later who those people are. And then, I mean, this is going a little off topic, but you can make a list of those people and tell Facebook to find more people just like them based on key characteristics and commonalities in that group of people. So just the amount of artificial intelligence and computer power behind these advertising platforms, it just blow your mind. But if you want to think about it in a simple way, just think that there's a super smart robot just doing your marketing for you. You have to pay them some money, but they're going out and looking for the best customers they can find based on the information that you give them, which is why it's good to have an idea of who your ideal customer is. So then you're making sure you're giving them the right information. Analytics also matter because you can compare one ad. Let's say you have two different ads. You can compare one against the other. See which one was more popular overall. Maybe one is popular with women and one is popular with men. Then you can split up your targeting and only target men with one and only target women with another. You can even see the age of people. Like, let's say I put out an ad for the chocolate shop and I look at the analytics and it says, wow, 18 to 24-year-olds were 25% of my clicks. That's interesting. Oh, and then 65 and older were, 50%. Holy cow. There's a lot of, senior citizens that are looking at my chocolate shop. That's amazing. So it's just something that you can do to hone in on who is resonating with your content, who is looking at it, and most importantly, who is purchasing from it, right? So that way you can optimize your ad spend quickly, like right away. You can know after a day or two, is this ad working or not? So you're only spending, let's say $10 or $15 a day. So 3 days, $15 a day, you've only spent $45, but you've figured out which ad is working, who it's working with, and you can use that information to optimize a better ad and put that out and spend a little more money, right? So then you can confidently calculate your return on investment from marketing. And, you can even recognize those customers. Oh, wow, these were some of the customers that I got after I did that ad campaign. I see them coming back again and again. This lifetime value thing, it must really be working. So all that to say, analytics is something that either you or your marketing professional should really be paying close attention to, because there's a lot of good information that you can use, not only just for your marketing, but then in your store as well. What do I buy more of? What do I emphasize? What do I highlight, right? Just very important stuff. Now, email marketing. I'm going to talk about this just a little bit. Oh, geez, I had a bunch of little bullet points and they were shaped like letters and they didn't show up. I should tell Olga. Okay, sorry. So email marketing. This is something that I'm really talking right now to the people who already have an email list. For whatever reason, you've grown an email list, you've collected it. Maybe you've just let it go stale. You don't even know who these people are anymore. Maybe you collected it for an event a long time ago. But now would be a good time to think about starting up something where you are regularly communicating with a list of people, a select list of people over email. Now, this is kind of like what Erin talked about with social media marketing, where you're doing a regular amount of posting. For her, it was 3 to 4 times a week. For some of you, it might be every day. And truly, I want you to know there are some businesses where everyday social media is a good idea. And then there's some that maybe once a week is enough. You just put something up there. Not many people are going to your social media and they don't need to, because other marketing channels are really working. But email marketing is this unique thing where essentially people are, if you have an email account that you pay close attention to and you get something like, you bought a product and they automatically signed you up for their list, what's the first thing you do? Scroll down, hit unsubscribe, because no way do I want to hear from that company, once a week for the rest of my life, right? I just bought one product. I don't actually know the company. I don't actually care. You hit unsubscribe, right? So a lot of people will curate their own email experience. And if you can get in with them, you can make them a very big fan of your business. This is one way to grow what we'll call your fan base, right? So that's the why of email marketing, is to grow your fan base, get these people who really know you, like you, and trust you in a big way. If you already have a list, this is the time to be using it. But what do you do with it, right? My suggestion for local businesses, there's a lot of different things you can do, but my top suggestion is a newsletter. And a newsletter is very easy to do. There are more email client services than I can count. A good one for free is MailChimp. And what you can do is, for a small list, MailChimp is free. And what you can do is you can put pictures in there. You can put words in there. You can put links in there. And you can just tell a story of your business, in whatever way you choose and whatever way is most fun for you, right? So where was I going with that? So for email marketing and for a newsletter, you're looking to speak to your ideal customers, and you're looking to make it something that they actually look forward to opening. Now, I know this might sound crazy, like, what? Why would anyone look forward to opening an email from a business? Like, that's crazy. But I want to tell you about this concept that is really catching fire over the internet broadly. And it's called infotainment. It just means you're getting some information, but it's very entertaining. Copywriters are big on this. There's a copywriter speaking tomorrow. He'll probably know all about what I'm talking about. But it's basically like your main goal is having fun with your audience, entertaining them. And then, oh, by the way, here's this information, right? So an example is, I'm on this email list for this guy called the Millennial Money Man, and he talks about how to do your personal finances in a better way. It's a great blog. One of his emails one day, it was shortly after quarantine when everyone was into that Netflix show, Tiger King. I'm sure you've all either seen it or heard about it. And 90% of this email, he was just talking about Tiger King. It wasn't about personal finance. It wasn't about, tips for this and that, but it was really funny the way he talked about it, because I just watched Tiger King, and the things he was saying and the ideas he was talking about were just funny. And I read the whole thing. And then guess what? When I got to the end, there were some links. They were about personal finance. So if I wanted to go into that, I could. But I had read to the very bottom of that email because it was so entertaining. So this is the power of email marketing. This is what's possible. And if this is not something that, we'll talk about content in a minute, but if writing is not something that you're really passionate about, then it's actually not very expensive to hire someone. So the bottom is how to outsource this. It is very easy to find a copywriter and tell them all about what you want to do, what you want to say, work with them to understand your business like you do, and then let them write. Let them write some entertaining stuff and put it on there, even as you. Ghostwriting is a concept that's been around forever. A lot of people have written books that they didn't write, So you have all the permission in the world to write an email newsletter that you didn't write, because someone else can make it very entertaining, very fun, and keep those people engaged and build your fan base. Now, I'm sure you're all looking at this one, drawbacks to consider, right? So 2 big drawbacks to this. Number 1, if you don't have a list already, this does take time to build a list. It's actually a pretty slow process, whether you pay for it or you do it for free. So ways to do it for free are like every customer on checkout. Like if you're in the thrift store, right? Every customer that comes to that thrift store, you say, hey, I'm starting up an email newsletter. It's going to be really fun. Would you like to join? Oh yeah, of course. Who doesn't like fun? Sign the list, put an email, one by one by one, you build that list, one person at a time. The other drawback to consider, a lot of those people, even if they signed up willingly, even if they knew exactly what they were signing up for, will unsubscribe or completely ignore your emails. So just know from the start, this is a numbers game, right? Only a certain percentage will be reading these, and it's not because of anything you did. The very best, most entertaining email content will have people that unsubscribe from it and just ignore it for whatever reason. So just know that going into it. But I've seen this work for many, many people, and there are people who built their entire careers on helping people just do email marketing. I know some of them personally. So the best businesses for this, like I mentioned, thrift stores are great because it's you're getting a lot of customers over and over. You're getting customers that want to come back. Restaurants are good for email marketing. You can talk about new dishes. You can talk about specials. You can talk about, whatever it is, like Diego's. We get emails from Diego's talking about, free dessert, and we go because their desserts are amazing, So we're the type of people that will do that. And a lot of your customers are too, who will respond to your emails, come to your business just because of something you sent them in email. Now, untapped gold mine, ? I would say yes, because we are in a small town, and this is only something right now that is popular with big businesses like wine subscription businesses, that you can send wine anywhere in the world, right? You can send jewelry anywhere in the world. So if you have a jewelry business, right, you do an email marketing. So for small towns like this, I think if you're going to start building a list, I think, this is something that, because not many people in the small town are doing it, there's not a lot of competition. There's not a lot of people unsubscribing. Now, if everyone in town started doing this at once, it'd get a little crazy. But I think because this is one of those avenues that not a lot of people are going down, it's like a road. You want to drive on the road where there's not a lot of other cars. You're going to get there faster. That's email marketing right now. Like SEO, this takes time, but the results can be huge. Now, putting it all together. Before I go into this, Robert, did you have anything, or should I just kind of wrap it up and we'll go to questions?
Just go for the wrap it up, and people are still free to ask questions. I do want to have a minute or two at the end to do some housekeeping.
Great. Oh man, look at Olga. She's laughing now. She was putting us on the whole time. She's so cheeky. Oh man. Okay, we're putting it all together, right? So the first thing I want to say that's actually not on this, but it kept coming up in my mind as I was talking about this, is when you think about content, I want you to think about it in just two types, written and visual. And visual only has two types, photos and video, right? So when you're creating content, whether it be for advertising or social media organic posting, right? I failed to mention this before. Social media marketing doesn't always mean you're paying for it. Aaron is a great, perfect example of how social media marketing worked without a lot of paying, right? I don't think Erin probably paid to have a lot of people see that, but she created this great content. She posted over and over. She posted on different places like Pinterest, and she had a blog, and she had Facebook and Instagram and all these places. You don't have to do all that yourself, but just know that it doesn't always mean that you have to pay for it. But when I'm talking about content, I want you as the business owner right now, close your eyes, just do this with me real quick. Close your eyes, think about your business. Think about attracting more customers to your business than you've had at your best even, right? Unless it was full and crazy and you don't want that many customers, but I don't think a lot of you are there. Think about attracting more customers to your business than you've ever had before. Think about who these people are, and then think about your favorite way that you could have fun reaching them. Is that written content, or you just, scatter in a couple pictures to make your points? Do you want to make some fun videos with your friends or your family to talk about your business, or show a product, or, create just a goofy thing that you think might go viral? Do you want to, like Aaron, take your fancy camera and go out and just take great photographs showing all the great things about your business? What resonates with you personally? That is what you should go towards, because marketing is not about one size fits all. It's actually the exact opposite, because your customers are going to dictate how you market, and your own proclivities and your own enjoyment and what you like to do is going to do it. So think about content in 3 different types, choose one for now and just go with it. Don't worry about being good. This was one of the notes I wrote down that Aaron talks about. Don't worry about quality at first because you'll learn. One example, just if I could digress for a second, I made this video of my firstborn son, and we had all these videos of him from when he was 0 to when he was 1 year old. And I watched this video recently and I realized as I went through the video editing process, I got better as I went. Like in the beginning, it was like jerky and, a little like just hard to watch. But by the end, I was like, wow, this is like really quality video here. Like I'm doing a really good job. So as I went through this one project, because I was just doing it, I just got better at it just because I was doing it. I wasn't even trying to get better. I just did. And that's going to be your experience with your business when you start creating content. Doesn't matter what the content is. Don't worry about making it the most popular or, finding the best hashtags or whatever. Like, don't worry about that stuff at first. Just start creating. Just have fun and play with it. When's the last time you went out and just played just for the sake of play and just had fun? So tap into that inner child, tap into your inner creativity, think about your business and your customers and just go nuts and just do something. Look at it later, make sure it's appropriate, but then slap that thing all over social media and the internet and see what happens. And you'll be surprised what comes out of it. So putting it all together. Like I said, take time to dive deep into your best customers, their reasons with shopping with you and coming back repeatedly. That's the lifeblood of any business is your regular customers. So that's where you focus first. As you develop ways to find more customers like them, always keep them in mind and keep those people coming back. Then think about your team. Think about the people you work with at the top. Think about the people you hire who work underneath you, and work with and hire those people who inspire creativity right now. This might be a big shift for you. You might have never thought about running your business that way, but I think in this new post-pandemic reality, creativity is going to be your magic jelly bean. Plant that in the ground. It's going to make a beanstalk to the sky, and there's gold up there, right? So creatively finding new ways to do things that you've done before, even if they've been successful, finding new ways to make them more successful, to reach more people, and put those people around you in your life and in your business that help inspire that creativity. And I was even just thinking, a lot of times I walk into these shops like thrift stores and like that vintage store in downtown Nevada City, and usually it's empty and the person working there is kind of just sitting around, which is fine. You just have sitting around time sometime. But what if you hired someone, if you had sitting around time, who was there specifically to help you make content, right? Written content, video content, whatever it is, just coming up with ideas. And that was part of their job. I just thought of that. I think that would be great for a business. So I just think we as a town must keep this collaborative and creative mindset going in order to thrive together. And I want you all to know, I'm gonna get out of here for a minute so I can look at you right now. I am here to help. I love this town so much. I'm here to help for free. I'm here to help if you pay me. I'm here to help your friends and family. But I believe in this town so much. I want to live here so many more years. And I want downtown Nevada City, Grass Valley, and all the businesses around it to succeed and thrive. And you are all here because you care about your personal business. And I truly want to help you with it. So I'm on the list. Please see me as a resource. If anything you've seen today is something that I can help you with, do not hesitate to reach out. Tell me about it. I'm not going to charge you for a phone call. We'll talk about it. And, this is something that we can really figure out in a very big way to help you succeed beyond anything you thought you could do before. The last thing, finally, putting all these elements together while keeping in mind your goals and your ideal customers, that's how you're going to put together a comprehensive marketing plan. So I didn't really talk about putting together a comprehensive marketing plan because that's all you need. If these things are in your mind and you just go forward one step after the other, that's going to build your marketing plan naturally. You don't need to think too much about A to Z. It will just happen. So I'm going to look here on the side. Look at these. I think Robert might have answered a lot of these. Yeah, monthly email coupons help keep subscribers. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You can search for AdWords before buying them. Robert did say that. Yeah, and you all are very welcome. Like I said, I am, just think of me as a resource. You know, this is our first meeting, so I'd love to meet some of you more personally and just help with any part of your business that you feel like needs help being marketed. You know, let's talk. So thank you, Robert, for having me. And
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Adam. Great job. That was really super helpful, and thanks for putting yourself out there for help. I could just tell that it's much appreciated.
Hold on, sorry. I just saw this about Main Street Kids. Linda, call me.
Okay.
I want to.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Cool. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to put this poll up. It's anonymous. As I'm talking, if you could answer this. I've never done the polls here before, so if it's not working right. Anyways, tomorrow is going to be an awesome day. It's all about business operations. Veronica is a regional SBDC presenter. She has been doing this for 20 years. She knows what it takes to run an online store, customer service, terms of service, return policies, inventory, that kind of thing. It's going to be really great. And Mike Moores is here to talk about copywriting. And as a reminder, he does copywriting for big name outdoor brands, banks, and other things. So he knows how to really make punchy, short copy. His company name is called Wicked Good Copy. So that's their.
And I just wanted to say, I haven't actually read a lot of his copy, but I read his website and I knew there was a copywriter coming on. I just want you guys to know, as part of a total marketing plan, copywriting can actually be a huge boon to what you're doing and can really help in a big way. So I hope you all can watch that. And I hope you just think about a copywriter as someone that you can hire that can really, really help you. I've done some copywriting, but it's not my main thing. And so, you know, I just think that definitely something to consider.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And thanks for filling out these polls. We'll just let this roll for a minute or two more. I'm going to unmute Marnie. Marnie has been a huge part of what's going on here, along with Jessie Locks. Jessie Locks, her email and contact information was in the email I sent out last night. Marnie is director of the Grass Valley Downtown Association, and really has lit a fire under my butt to get this class rolling. And I'm just wondering, Marnie, do you have any words of encouragement for these folks?
Oh my gosh, I feel like today was such a sunny day. Both of our presenters were so positive, and I don't know if I can say anything more. I thought they were just so encouraging about, you know, just practicing and small bits of progress. It all leads, you know, you can't stop yourself from doing stuff by thinking like, if it's not amazing, you know, it's not the best thing I could ever do, then I shouldn't do it. I mean, I'm an artist. I speak from that experience. I know that's always there for me. So just, you know, take this inspiration and run with it. And whatever you do is going to be fabulous. Whether you take some pictures, you know, just create the smallest change, it's going to be great change. And yeah, I just appreciate all you guys. Everybody loves this community so much. So we just want you to be more successful, because you already are.
Thanks, Marnie.
Definitely. And Robert, I just want to say, I forgot to share my last slide, which is only my contact information. So it's up on my screen right now, if anyone wants to take it down, and of course is on the business resources list.
Yeah. So Aaron, thank you for presenting. Thank you for volunteering. Thanks for all the people online now that are volunteering, and for you all who are really sweating it right now and getting your e-commerce site up. Tomorrow, like I said, is operations and some writing. And then Friday is we're going to bring back the presenters, and it's going to be a question and answer panel with all of the experts. And please send, if you want to send me like, hey, on Friday, I'd really like these things to be covered. Give me as much advance notice so I can fill some gaps in that you're feeling are needing to be filled in. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you all for showing up. Cheers.